Often when I dance, I hit my mic.
Maybe you hit me in the ears.
Oh, sorry. I'll stop doing that. Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest. We're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're popping the legal limit of melatonin just to get to sleep, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Yes, indeedy. I'm Wits End. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad to hear the entire intro from Chris this week. That was a nice little touch.
Oh, you know what? I didn't change my browser. I didn't think about that. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah, he may be popping in and out as the podcast continues. But tonight we're going to talk about how to Muggle-Proof your caches so that they last. Because if you're going to put a cache out, it'd be kind of nice if it lasted a little while, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Listeners, jump in the feedback in the chats and give us some chats and feedbacks and stuff, comments, interchanges, conversations. You know what to do.
That's right.
But, well, here we are, just the two of us again. So I will tell you that, give you a quick reminder, we appreciate the support of our patrons. They help keep this podcast coming each and every week, don't you know? We'd like to thank Land Sharks. They're one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. Whether it's new containers or caching gear or trackables or swag or whatever you need, if there's something you want to get your spring geocaching on, order it online today from landsharks.ca. And we'd like to thank Cachely. It's the premier geocaching app for iOS. Version 8.1 with Cachely Pro features offline maps of the entire world. You can navigate while offline. You can do your county thing. You can do your Delorme thing. You can finish all the grids, and coming soon, CarPlay support. You can find it in the iOS App Store or go to cachely.com. And we'd also like to thank Valemount. It's where every season offers its own unique adventure. It's nestled in the mountains, surrounded by towering peaks, lush forests, and pristine rivers. They provide endless opportunities for year-round exploration up there. So whether you seek outdoor thrills or a peaceful retreat, Valemount awaits you. If you want to know more about supporting the podcast, click the Patreon link. It's somewhere on the cachingNW.com website. You can find it.
The podcast. It's so ghastly.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, it's time for the glow. And I know. Oh, wait. No, before we get to the glow. Thank you. Before we get to the glow, you may have noticed we don't have our normal complement of guests.
Well,
some of our guests are not complimentary.
And some of them aren't normal. So,
well, that's true.
I'm not sure what you're looking at, but you know.
But I hope this audio comes through clearly. I had to do a lot of work. I had to do an unusual amount of censoring on this one. Just you know, when Land Monkey gets outside of the studio, he speaks shall we say a little more salty than normal. So I hope you can hear and enjoy this well.
Hey, caching in the Northwest, this is the Land Monkeys, Mr. Land Monkey.
And Mrs. Land Monkey.
That's right. We are out at Bonavista. We are on one of the most northern peninsulas of Newfoundland province in Canada. And we've just found a great geocache here. And it happens to be right beside the lighthouse. And it's a little foggy today.
It's a great.
It's what's great?
You called that a cache?
I didn't call it that kind of cache. I can't believe you used that word on the radio. Oh my gosh, the language. Oh, hopefully that got censored out. Anyways, it is super foggy. So the foghorn is going, and it's quite the amazing experience, quite the environment to be caching in. Can't really see the ocean, but having a great time anyways. Hope you guys have a fantastic... Yeah, that's the kind of show I hope you have. and we'll be back on the show in a week. But hope you have a great show, and thanks to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
And that's why you can't take Land Monkey anywhere. Mrs. Land Monkey is just as bad.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, boy, please pay attention when I'm talking to you. That boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball. Well, that's a different foghorn, isn't it?
That's a different foghorn. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, Land Monkey, go enjoy. He'll be with us next week. But now it's time to get to the glow. No, that wasn't the glow.
Oh,
That was that was just a voicemail from Land Monkey. But I know people have asked, what is a glow? It's such an odd term to use, isn't it?
true. So what is a glow? Since I'm the only one here, I'll ask.
Thank you. Bryling did as well. There you go.
Okay. I couldn't hear him.
A glow is the geocaching log of the week. So whether you wrote it or whether you read it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Now, you can send an email or a recording like Land Monkey did, even though I had to work and censor it.
Yeah.
Or you can call into 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow with or without censoring.
Well, I'll see if I can manage to get through this glow without any censoring. It was sent in and found by Limax. It's a cache called the Worst Cache Ever. It's GC 583 Mike 1. Very numeric GC code there. And he says, got to the park just before dusk, and this was the only cache we could find. And why did it have to be this one? Between the lousy place to park and the long hike in the woods, we had to touch trees, to get to it. The cache itself was in plain view with a very cracked lid. Contents were dry, but with the upcoming rain, it won't be for long. I hesitated even putting in 2 path tags for the one I got before making sure it was under shelter. Definitely a great view at this one. And the bugs, did I mention the bugs? Oh, yes. And the trees. You can't see a thing from this cache. So apparently couldn't see the forest for the trees there, huh?
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Probably true. And don't touch the trees. Ooh.
Ew.
Yeah. Folks, tonight we are talking about how to Muggle-Proof your hides, right? So use the hashtag Muggle tonight in the show to ask any question you want. And don't forget, you can use the hashtag FATAS to bring up anything you want in the after show. Anything. Now, we may not talk about it because, it may not be appropriate, but you can bring up anything. Now, before we get going too far, first off, happy Canada Day to all our friends north of the border. And to those south of the border, happy 4th of July.
But today's only the 3rd.
Well, it's coming up. And, Canada Day is on the 1st. So I kind of split the difference.
Okay.
And if you're listening to this in September, okay. Now, we have news from HQ. There's a new summer promotion. It's a little complicated, so stick with me on this one. This is a new leaderboard challenge coming up called Making Memories. Signal the Frog is feeling creative. To celebrate International Geocaching Day and 25 years of geocaching, he's making a giant scrapbook filled with memories from cache finds and events. But he needs your help. There are 25 million pages to fill. Now, how does a little frog like Signal here carry a 25 million page scrapbook?
He needs help.
I couldn't find where he was. I just knew he was here somewhere. So 25 million pages. So from July 21st through August 17th. Okay, you got that period?
Yeah, it's about 3 weeks or so ish.
Yeah. Maybe 4.
Yeah.
Help Signal fill his scrapbook by finding caches, attending events, and collecting treasure. You can even earn new souvenirs along the way.
Well, who doesn't love that?
Well, everybody loves souvenirs. During making memories, we will use the leaderboard to track the community's progress towards filling the 25 million pages of Signal Scrapbook. On the leaderboard, players will be able to see how many pages the global community has filled, available campaign souvenirs, and information about how many pages different geocaching actions generate. Now, if you think back a year ago to Cosmic Quest, I think it's going to be a lot like that, right? Where we, as a community, had to get 15 million fuel units or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, bonus points for filling up on gas, that kind of thing. Yeah, and you had to give them to somebody else. I think that's going to be kind of what this is. So players can share their progress and favorite geocaching moments on social media using the hashtag. Are you ready for this one? Making Memories GC.
Okay.
So how do you get points?
How do you get points?
A found it log for everything except a webcam is 1 point. Attending an event, 3 points.
Okay.
Receive a favorite point on your owned cache, 3 points. So that tells me that Bounce doesn't have to do anything for this.
Probably not. Yeah.
This event, and he'll have all the points he ever needs. Find an adventure location, just one location, 1 point.
Okay. But typically there's 5 locations.
There's typically
average.
5, sometimes 10.
Yeah.
And, now's the time to go hit some of that AL art, the alert. Get all the points you need. Find a geocache with 5 or more favorite points is 3 points. And collect a Making Memories treasure, 5 points. So there you go. Geocachers can help fill Signal's logbook. They'll have 3 opportunities to earn souvenirs. The crafty cacher earn this souvenir by completing the Making Memories treasure collection. The memory maker, the souvenirs earned by individually contributing 40 pages to Signal Scrapbook.
Is that 40 points then? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I would think so. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
Using that. They talked to, that has to be 40 points. I don't see that directly on here.
Yeah.
And the final one is Signal Scrapbook. If the global community earns 25 million pages or fills 25 million pages before Making Memories ends, the participants will receive this souvenir on August 18th.
Okay. Well, speaking of participants, how do I participate?
Well,
oh, wise sage that you are.
I feel like I know this contest, this promotion really well, just because I've read it a couple of times here. So from Monday, July 21st. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought the dates were different up there. I had to go look again, even though I've read it a couple of times. From Monday, July 21st through August 17th, 2025, find geocaches and adventures, attend events, collect treasures, and fill the pages with geocaching memory. That's not too hard.
That sounds like that's a doable thing. And you mentioned treasures. How are they involved in making memories, and how can I collect these treasures?
Wow. You ask really good questions. The day that Making Memory begins, again, July 21st, we geocaching.com will release new Making Memory treasures collection. During the campaign, players can earn points for collecting the treasures in this campaign. Now, the collection and the souvenir will remain after the campaign ends in August, right? So if you don't get to it, you can still work towards that and get those treasures that you want. However, to start getting the new Making Memories treasures, you have to have completed the Geocaching Origins collection.
Okay. That's the very first group that...
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Once you get those, you can start collecting 7 treasures by finding and logging any event or any micro, small, or regular size geocache with a difficulty between 1.5 and 4. So event, micro, small, or regular size geocache, difficulty 1.5 to 4.
Okay. I think We can track that. It's going to be on the website too.
You know, having a micro 1.5 difficulty, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to be the easy one.
Yeah, that should work. So, how do we contribute to filling this scrapbook that you mentioned?
Well, that's a really good point. Let's see if I can clarify. Geocachers can add to the scrapbook by finding geocaches and adventures, attending events, receiving favorite points on owned caches, and collecting treasure. The table that I just read from shows how many pages each geocaching action generates. So
Okay.
points
And-
are pages.
And speaking of pages, how can I see how many pages that the community has filled from this scrapbook?
Well,
In a
start,
progress bar somehow.
start talking to your friends and get an Excel spreadsheet going.
Oh, everybody loves a good chart or graph.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but players can see the community's page count and their individual contribution to that total on the leaderboard in the app and on the website. Guess when? Starting July 21st.
That's a really common date. It keeps coming up.
Well, you know, I don't know if you know, this starts July 21st
I
through
think
August 17th.
I may not have remembered all the other details, but I
Mhm.
think I've got the start date committed to memory now. All right, so we're going to get pages and we're going to get points and we're going to do all that kind of stuff, but we're also going to get souvenirs. Where can I see those?
Well, you can see souvenirs wherever you collect your souvenirs.
Oh, and every theme park attraction ends in the gift shop full of souvenirs.
Exactly. But these are free. They're linked on your dashboard on the souvenir page and in the geocaching app, the official app.
Okay,
I believe Cashly lets you see souvenirs.
because geocaching is free.
So are souvenirs. They're digital. They don't cost anything. You know, just don't tell that to the artist who spent hours making them.
Rylang says, I bet GSM times 2 will make a spreadsheet.
Oh, of course he will. So there you go. I think it sounds complicated getting into it. I think once it starts, we're going to see, oh, this is like the other one we've done before. So I don't think it's going to be overly complicated once we get going. But, there's just a lot of moving parts to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And GC Droid shows your souvenirs.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the apps do now. They've really
Mhm.
integrated things well. Well, that sounds fun. It's fun to have a new summertime program rewards thing. There's a special name for it that I'm not coming up with.
Promotion.
Promotion. Thank you. It was right there on the tip of my tongue. Just couldn't see it. But tonight, well, we're talking about muggles. More specifically, I think how to protect our caches from muggles. And maybe somebody's just joined us. They're just getting into this geocaching thing. They say, I heard about this. I went and found a cache, and there's a business card in there from some podcast. I bet that thing's not around anymore.
That's
And
right.
here we are, 600 plus episodes in. We're still around. We're kind of like that little booger on any finger that you just can't get rid of. No, that's not it. Anyway.
I can't go there. I totally know what you're talking about, but I can't go there.
If somebody's listening, welcome. And if somebody doesn't know what a muggle is, how would you describe a muggle?
Muggles are non-geocachers who might stumble upon, tamper with, or accidentally toss the geocache that you've been working so hard, so
That's
long
right.
on. I can tell you of a geocache that I found while I was on vacation. It was at Indian Mary Park, right in California, not far off of I-5. My parents took us there. I can tell you stories of my brothers who, were in the car for way too long, and they got to the campground before it opened. So my parents took the station wagon to a Sambo's restaurant. Do you remember Sambo's?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day? And we got a large booth. My parents had coffee and the kids laid on the booth. There was 5 children. We, laid or sat in the booth and slept until it was 8 o'clock in the morning and we could go and get into the campground. So that it's a great memory. Anyway, so we went to go look at some of the spots. Should I go on with the story?
Sure.
Because my older brothers were excited, right? They've been sitting in the car, slept in a restaurant. They needed to get out and move. So while my dad was setting up the tent, they ran down to the river, got into an inner tube, and I've forgotten what river was there. It's a fast moving river, and they were gone. Two of the brothers got on. One brother came back running, going, Mike and Danny are gone. They went down the river and it was really fast and they're gone. And so my dad went running, talked to some people, and they're like, yeah, they got in the river and it just shot them right down there. Well, about a mile farther down, they finally got close enough to the shore, got off and started walking back. But, nonetheless,
Yeah.
my parents thought they lost 2 children that day.
Enough to strike fear into the heart of any parent. Yeah.
Okay. So Indian
The
Heritage-
the brothers, on the other hand, are like, finally, more room for us.
That was so much fun. Can we go do it again? No, you're not allowed in that river. So
we finally got rid of Mike and Danny.
we made a trip down, and I've always told my dad, he tells me that story every time we go by. It's like, you know what, we should stop. We don't have time. We're going to see. So this time we made time. We stopped, and right near the boat launch where they got shot downstream. And I look and I go, there's a cache right over here. I'm going to go find it. And I find it. It's a first to find. Wow, that's a lot of fun. I open it up, and in there is, hey, we're a family that were camping in the area, and we found this and didn't know what to do with it. So we just signed this and left it here. Like, wow, Muggles were first to find.
Okay.
I claim first to find, but I don't know. I don't know if I can claim first to find on that one. Nonetheless,
Cacher to log a find on
exactly.
the website.
I was the first cacher to find and log it. But I don't know of another situation where Muggles were first to find.
That is interesting. Yeah.
And it was in children's handwriting with large letters, taking up like an entire sheet of the log. But I thought it was cool.
That is cool. Nice Muggles for a change. Usually
Yes.
they're not so friendly to the caches. So now you know what a Muggle is. It's a great term. It's become so popular that a popular book series also adopted the term and
That's
took it over from geocaching.
Mhm.
But this is where it started.
Mm-hmm. So to keep your geocache out of Muggles' hands, it's all about location, right? You got to find the right hiding spot. It could be secluded yet accessible, kind of, like off the side of a boat launch. I thought that was a pretty good secluded spot. Intuitive for cachers, but somewhat invisible to the public.
That's
Right.
ideal.
So you could do that in a forested environment. That's pretty
Mhm.
easy to do. In an urban environment, it gets a little harder, but you know what? All these magnetic caches right now, those aren't too hard to hide up underneath something.
Yeah.
So, you need to avoid the obvious locations, right? Maybe you don't want to do that lamp skirt in the big box store. Now, while it may be out far away at the back corner of the parking lot, at Christmas time,
Yeah.
or busy store times, that's a tough spot to even get then. So,
Well, and oddly enough, sometimes it's easier to be more discreet at a lamppost closer in. Because when there's one lamppost out by itself somewhere and one truck out there, guess where the attention goes?
that's right. That's right. Yeah, when it's dark and I have to park out, I always choose to
Yeah.
park under the light.
Yeah.
I can tell you another story. It was at a Walmart. I went and grabbed the cash. I forgot my pen, so I brought it back to the car to sign it. And as I went to go return, somebody parked right next to the lamppost. And they didn't get out of their car.
Of course not.
Oh, stink. Now what do I do? how long am I going to have to wait them out? So I think I waited about 15 minutes and they left. But it was like, okay, now do I risk putting it back and having them see it, or do I put a note on there said, hey, I'm going to return the cash in, tomorrow or something like that.
If you go back to the car and break out your high vis vest and hard hat and clipboard,
Yeah.
you can go up and do anything to that bill.
Mhm. Inspected by number 12.
Yeah.
Okay. So I chose the glow tonight because it was somewhat related to having a good hide, right? I'm scrolling back up to find it now.
Trees.
Too much
Ew.
noise. Ooh, trees. Right. In a park just before dark, lousy place to park, long hike in the woods. The cache itself was in plain sight with a very cracked lid. Right. So choose good quality containers.
Mm.
Right. Now you can go with some specialty products like magnetic caches. I kind of don't like the idea of the electrical boxes or sprinkler heads. Just because it could be dangerous. People go, oh yeah, I've seen these sprinkler heads before, and they take it apart and it's a working sprinkler.
Or was.
Yeah, there you go. Or, they open an electrical box and there are wires in there, and
yeah,
for you and I, that's not a problem, but the majority of people, that could be a bad day.
It could be bad.
But what do you think about containers?
Well camouflaged ones are fun and challenging.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, electrical boxes and sprinkler heads, as a general rule, no. But under the right circumstances, it can be the perfect thing.
Mhm.
So how well done is it? The other thing that I think you talked about was just, you mentioned a magnetic underneath something.
Mhm.
Sometimes just the sight line of something. If you were to just squat down to, dog or cat level, it might be obvious, but most people aren't going to get really high or really low with their line of sight.
Well,
So just underneath something.
I Lost Can agrees with us. Hold on, I can't find my mouse. That sprinkler caches are bad.
Yeah.
Wet Coaster says old moon ray lights or solar garden lights can be good.
It can be.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea. If people start getting into the habit, like you say, oh, yeah, sprinklers. Yeah, I've seen those. Here, pull this one apart. Oh. And
Same with the lights,
light fixtures and stuff.
the light fixtures, that can be great. But if you're pulling the tops on and off, you can break off those little clips that hold it securely.
Yeah, because they're usually meant to be assembled once.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a good idea. And if you put that in your description, hey, you're looking for something illuminating.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah, because it can be done well. So what else has worked well?
Well, I was going to go with go back to the glow, because they said the top of the lid was cracked.
Yeah.
Right. So choose something that works well in your environment. So Wits End for you in the dry east side, cheap plastic containers just don't hold up.
Perhaps
get
not the
too
best
hot.
idea. Yeah.
They get too hot, too dry, and they crack. And then, you don't get a lot of rain, but if you do, it will collect it all.
Yeah. Yeah. The sun makes plastic very dry and brittle.
Mhm. So here on the wet side, avoid using Altoids tins if you can.
Yeah. They don't seal well. They're not waterproof.
They're great for a bit, and then they get rusted shut. I remember finding one that was my first cache in Arizona. And the thing just came apart. It was see-through. The Altoids tin had rusted through in spots on both the top and bottom. The hinges were gone. Like, wow, maybe that's not a good one out here in Arizona either. So, what do you think about labeling? Do you want to label your cache official geocache, or do you want to keep it completely invisible?
I like labeling it, but perhaps the label may not be visible. Maybe
Okay.
when you pick it up and look at the bottom side of it, oh, yep, definitely it says official
Mhm.
geocache on the bottom there. And some reviewer guy said reviewers like it when you label them.
Yes.
I don't know who might
I
that be, but
completely understand it. I'm all for putting that onto the logbook. You know, if you can put the label side down, as you said, that it
yeah,
helps increase the stealth factor a bit. I like
yeah.
that as well.
And sometimes the labels can be very discreet, black on black, or even
Mhm,
just the geocaching logo
mhm.
and a slightly similar color to the main container. So you catch the light just right and go, oh, yeah, there it is. But it's not going to draw attention like a screaming neon yellow high vis
Official
sign.
game piece. Do not
Yeah,
remove.
yeah. There again, that sometimes that works.
Yeah.
If you're going back to the electrical box or something, make it very obvious
Mhm.
to a geocacher that it's not a real electrical box. You mentioned Bounce Bounce earlier. He's really good at doing stuff like that.
Mhm. Yes, he is. He will make up metal signs with his vinyl printer. Put and make it
Yeah.
look official. Danger, high voltage. You know, high voltage geocache or something like that.
Hmm.
Like, oh, wait a minute, that says high volt, but geocache. No, that's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, he does. He does very interesting things. So now you want to get a good container. I'm thinking to WV Tim and Bounce Bounce caches. Okay.
Hmm.
WV Tim, we went out and did his caches this year.
They were fun.
Most of them right out in the open, brightly colored, easy to see. I don't know if they say geocache on them. They may.
I think some did. Yeah.
But to get to the log, usually you had to figure out what the combination was to the lock. So
Yeah.
there was a secure lock that kept the muggles from truly muggling the cache.
Hmm.
However, nothing stopped them from getting to the various components used to figure out that combination. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and he had some of the has some of the oldest gadget caches where you
Mhm.
do have to solve a puzzle, do some kind of field logistics to get in there. But I have also done caches that the had a combination lock, say,
Mhm.
and the combination was printed plainly in the description. That way,
Right.
it's not technically a gadget cache at that point, but the muggle is not going to know what the combination to get inside the container is.
That's true. I've seen those as well.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Where it's kind of a two-factor
Yeah.
authentication there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to have you have to be a geocacher and get to the app as well as being at the location.
And those kind of caches also make a good argument for um, making sure you have data where you're heading or get offline copy of the description because that's frustrating. You get there, oh, shoot, I don't have the combination to this. And I got no cell data. I got to hike 2 miles back to find it.
Yep, no fun. But I've also been to a geocache. I want to say I was with the camps, the camp clan,
Hmm.
and either we solved the puzzle correctly to get the combination or we had the combination and the lock just wouldn't open. So, luckily I knew how to wiggle and figure out this type of lock easily. I think it was a bike lock.
Oh, yeah.
You can just turn the number and keep wiggling and you can feel
Yeah.
when the um so but it was one of those that the combination had been changed by a previous cacher somehow, and I'm sure it was done unintentionally, but
You'd like to
nonetheless
think so. Yeah.
made it difficult to get in. So, and then there are other unusual ways to get the combination or to get a key. I remember you, Wits End, in Renton solving a logic puzzle. It was like, like those bent nails that you have to turn just the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what the puzzle was. But it was kind of a fidget thing, but logic puzzle. And on
Yep.
there was a key. And once you got them separated, then you had enough room to get the key off to unlock the lock.
I think we did that after a GIF event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Komakino was there, right?
Yes.
And I
That
think
was-
we
that
had
was
just
fun.
locked it up and he came and he's like, oh no, not one of these. I can never figure these out. And you turned around, you just did it and said, here's the key.
Well, it helps
And
when you had just figured it out.
And his jaw dropped. He's like, oh, how did you? Yeah,
I don't have a lot of skills, but that night I had one.
that's right.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun there. And I think I remember doing one. I can't remember where it was now, but it was a multi. And the first stage had the key, and the second stage had the lock. So you had to get the key,
Mhm.
hike to the next one. Which means you had to go back to stage one and put the key back.
Right.
if
Yeah, I've
you're
done several like
responsible
that where
cache owner.
there was one that I did where the key was a travel bug that was supposed to be nearby, but it was no longer nearby.
Hmm,
I had to put a watch on that travel bug to get it when it
Yeah.
came by. So there you go. Now, so we've talked about different types of containers, some of them are just the containers by themselves. Some are within another container. But what do you think? Do you think cache containers for the most part ought to be clear, or should they be opaque, painted, maybe even camouflaged?
Well, I mean, a lot of the favorite answer, of course, is it depends.
Oh,
Is it inside a hollow log where it's not immediately visible? Then sure, make the container clear, make it whatever color you like. Is it up in Land Monkey's neighborhood? There's a lot of fake rocks that people have made out of concrete and stuff, so you could put a clear container inside that. One tip, as Berlang says, is that the bomb squad prefers that you use a clear container because, as Lost Ken jokingly, I hope, suggested, oh, take a PVC pipe marked TNT like Wile E. Coyote. No problem. Okay, maybe a problem.
I found them.
Yeah.
I found a PVC pipe, end cap on each end. And I go, boy, this looks like a bomb.
Right?
Yeah, that's no good. And it was right behind a welcome, welcome to this town sign. I'm like, that's not very welcoming.
No. It's also how I store my gum part, but that's a whole other story.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But that wasn't, I was going to save that for later on. We were going to talk about that of, cache disguises that have gone too far.
So what you have to be careful though, you mentioned plastic lids that cracked, but there are other materials that just flat don't hold up well. Don't put a cardboard box out in the rainforest. It's not going to work. And if maybe you have a good solid container and it's sturdy and all, and you think, I'm just going to paint this and then it'll really blend in. Well, take the time to prepare the surface. Maybe sand it, etch it, use primer or something, because you try to paint something too glossy sometimes and it looks great when you first put it out. But before too long, in the sun and the cold and the weather changes up and down, the paint starts to flake off. And pretty soon that green plastic lid is just shining right out there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I've used camouflage-ish duct tape.
Mhm.
Looks great for a while.
Mhm.
It breaks down.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, though, is to take a bison tube and wrap it in that camouflage duct tape, right? You can hang it in a tree. There's bark
Preferably a cedar.
printed, I guess, duct tape
Yeah.
duct tape that looks like bark.
Right.
So I'm going to say bark colored, but that didn't work.
What else you got there, boss man?
Okay. So when we were at Geo Woodstock, and almost at every Geo Woodstock I go to, let's go out and find some caches. How do you know where the caches are? Either look for the big group of people,
Right.
or you look for the very obvious geo trail that has been beat down for the last week.
Yes.
So, heavy foot traffic can give away cache locations.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't find the cache, I just keep looking down and go, well, there's been a lot of people walking here. Let's take a look here.
Right.
Let's take a look over there. Just follow the trail of the beat down grass. So, I would be careful of that. Maybe you can put the cache more slightly off the trail rather than, have somebody or have all your finders make a brand new geo trail to the location.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the natural Muggle attractions, right? Like playgrounds, benches, parking lots. Some of those can be good.
Some of them can be very good. Playgrounds can be, well,
Troublesome.
Yeah. Especially not just because, well, there's families with kids around, so they might muggle the cache while you're there, but people are rightfully so very
Mhm.
protective of children. And if you're hanging around a playground while there are kids there, you might draw more attention than you really want.
A single man on his own, looking at his phone, looking around, looking back at his phone,
Yeah.
that just looks creepy.
Yeah.
So, I found several magnetic geocaches underneath play equipment.
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, I prefer benches or picnic tables near the
Mhm.
play equipment.
Mhm.
And it means that maybe you may not be able to get that right now because there's a family having a picnic at that table. You'll have to come back another day.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. Another one that gets me
Mhm.
is a magnetic nano on a fire hydrant.
Hmm.
I don't think there should be anything on the fire hydrant.
Yeah, I have found some clever caches
Mhm.
on fire hydrants. I have found a cache that the whole fire hydrant was the cache container,
Yes, I have too.
but that's pretty
Absolutely
rare.
loved it. That was fantastic. But if the fire department needs to use that um, hydrant, there
Yeah.
should be nothing to impede them in any way. Now,
Yeah.
I understand a tiny nano under the bottom lip, they're never even going to get to, but I, I just have a problem with that.
Yeah. There are probably better places to go.
Here's one from Kitty Quest. My brother was a state park ranger. One day, a Muggle park visitor brought a cache they found into the office saying they thought they found a bomb. Always wondered why they picked it up rather than bring it to them,
Yeah.
or leaving it and taking them back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think it's wise to carry a bomb around? Here, I
Well,
found this. Do you want it?
yeah, they didn't seem to have a problem with that.
Yeah.
That's like somebody that finds something that smells really gross. Oh, this is terrible. Smell it. Okay.
I didn't have a lot of rules when we got married, but one of the ones I told my wife is you can never hand me something out of the refrigerator and say either smell or taste this. Is it any good? No, you cannot do that. That's not how this works.
This is why you're still alive.
Okay. So we found the location. We got the right container. We think we've put it in a location that's not going to attract a large amount of muggles.
Yeah, and it's kind of got a durable surface, so it's not going to get a horrible geotrail beat down there.
Mm-hmm. Now, you got to maintain the sucker.
Yes.
Yeah. I love Write in the Rain logbooks. Even if you put out a good, solid ammo can geocache, it'll never get wet in there. It's an ammo can. It's sealed. You know what? Sometimes they open it during a downpour, water gets in, and you still end up with a wet log. So I really like a good Write in the Rain logbook in all situations, or at least the paper. Protective baggies are great to an
Mhm.
extent, right? I found some that are good. I found some that are terrible. Like, oh, why did I take the time to open the top when the whole side was ripped out?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Lost Can. I believe he was talking about baggies, but his typo just humors me, where he says Single guy alone with a bag full of McDonald's toys, duct tape, zip ties, and tiny Ziploc babies in a kid's play area. I'm really hoping he means Ziploc baggies,
Well,
but now I want to know what a Ziploc baby looks like.
you take a gallon Ziploc and you mate it with a quart Ziploc, and you come up with a little snack size.
There you go. Yeah, and Browning says baggies are not nice on power
Yeah.
trails. It takes longer to deal with a baggie than finding, signing, and replacing.
Mm-hmm.
So that right in the rain paper really makes a big difference.
Well, and then Heather throws out, I've had my pens not work on some Right in the Rain paper.
It could happen, especially if you have more of a
Gel.
gel. Yeah, that's going to say some kind of a pen like that.
Yeah.
Ballpoints typically work well,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, you got Ken on that one. Yeah.
typos happen. Sometimes
Um,
they're really fun.
Wet Coaster says a small pill container in a larger pill container. I
Ooh.
can't tell you the number of, like a lock and lock with a bison tube inside. Those really stay dry.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you can put that into a pickle jar and put that into a gallon jug and that into a 5-gallon bucket and that into a storage container.
And then build a shed.
Yes. No.
That was funny. But even so, we get a lot of rain around here. You take the time, you unroll that. If you happen to be in a downpour, that log gets wet. You have to roll it back up, put it in the container. And anyway, I'm still for Right in the Rain. And
it's good stuff.
Ackerdoc, his first time watching live. Welcome, sir. Well, thank you so much.
Greetings from Ackerdoc.
Caching Can't says plenty of old ammo cans have seals that just don't cut it anymore.
It's true. The old rusty cans have been out there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Heather says, I found a fire extinguisher container and a fire hydrant container on a fire station property with their permission.
That's the key there. Get their permission.
I recently found it was a toy fire hydrant at a fire station in the corner. It was in it with their permission. So it was cute. Wasn't full size. Okay. With the pens not working on the Right in the Rain paper, Brylang just says carry multiple pen types.
Yeah, well, she did, but even the Sharpie didn't work.
Oh, there you go. Caching Can't. I'm going to bring this one up now, even though he has it FATAS. Does anyone else have a pet peeve? Ziploc bags inside of bisons, especially when the rain or the log is right in the rain.
That's a small Ziploc bag if it's inside a bison.
If I found that if you have a Ziploc baggie in something that small, the baggie takes a lot of wear and tear and doesn't last long.
Yeah.
So I would say make sure you carry a bunch of bison tube O-rings. Those are going to be better than the baggies anyway.
There you go. All right. We've nearly killed an hour. How did that happen already?
Kitty Quest says the old Right in the Rain paper is great. Some of the newer varieties can be very hard to write on. Is it the fire? Is it the cache at the fire station in Pasco? That's not the one I found, but nonetheless. Well, what do you think?
I feel more prepared to protect my caches against
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you're welcome. Yeah. I'm all for good camouflage, but make sure it's hidden well and out of sight, or hidden in plain sight. Those are the ones that are harder for me to find. Lost Ken is just getting worse.
It's taking on a life of its own now.
Yeah. I hate if the baby's inside the bison tube. May all your flag be camoed. Okay. I'm going to talk one thing about Write in the Rain. You know, you
Yeah.
can get Write in the Rain printer paper, 8.5 by 11 sheet. So you can print your own logs.
Okay.
Laser printers work really well. Not so much inkjets, but I think they've worked around that. I think inkjets work, but Write in the Rain laser paper is fantastic. So there's also the National Geographics. I believe they call it adventure paper.
Oh,
It's another
not
good
familiar with
option.
that.
Very similar. Yeah, inkjets with any outdoor usage is not advised. Doesn't matter if it's regular paper or not, it will run. Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, if anybody has any fun Muggle stories or Muggle encounters, share them with us over in social media or in a Discord channel.
Yeah, especially if I know we've run into Muggles wall caching, but have you had any of your caches found by a Muggle and then replaced? We want to
That would
know
be,
about it.
yeah, that'd be fun to hear.
Yeah. So next week, we know you want to stay with us, but next week we are going to talk with Lookout Lisa about her new podcast, Cache Like a Girl.
She's qualified.
Yeah, you're right. She is.
Yeah, we saw her at Jay Woodstock, and she talked
Yep.
about that. So that's I'm looking
Exactly.
forward to seeing that, hearing that. That sounds good.
Love it. Love all the geocaching podcasts. Folks, thanks for taking the time and listening to this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Indeed. And let's take a moment and thank Landsharks and Cashly and Tourism Valemount. They're our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. They ship online orders daily. Cashly is the geocaching app for iOS. And whether you're seeking outdoor thrills or a peaceful retreat, Valemount awaits you. I'd like to thank all of their faithful Denali level supporters. As we mentioned, that's Landsharks, Cashly, and Tourism Valemount, but it's also Cool Cow Cachers and Hawaiian Miley. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website.
Yes. And we want to, we want to thank Sprouter
And Wet Coaster,
and GeoBirder,
BC Rock Crawler,
Alondro,
Team
the
Noltex,
Terrible Tees,
Alan.
Lost Ken, who may not be lost because he's here tonight,
That's right. Korsgat,
Gundark 2000,
Seebeck Tribe,
Hexer,
Camp Clan,
GSM ×2,
B Pendragon,
Just Carlo,
J-Car,
Railroad,
Butterfly Girl,
CRS 98,
the GeoNav Pro,
Skyhawker,
Just Finding Our Way,
LG 9000,
Kid Vegas 19,
Kitty Quest,
Limax,
Logwork.
Genies,
First time listening to the show, Ackerdoc,
Geocaches,
Flagman,
Subway Mark,
Greenwords,
Mountain Bike,
Doramore,
Whidbey Island Gal,
M-Nerve,
The Caching Cants,
NW Cats,
Antaeus,
You Dak,
You Talks to Rocks,
Boomer 365,
Gas Station Tuna,
Keats 94.
and JT Coffee. Thank y'all.
You know what? We missed one. We missed Geo Karen, our newest member.
Oh,
I have to expand the list. We have more patrons than I
I
have
was
room
going to
for.
say, I didn't think I looked over any names on the list. You didn't get them on the list.
No, thank you for catching up because I jumped ahead to my name because we still have the 3 hosts.
You
and
did.
You filled right in there and nobody even noticed.
Well, but now they know.
Oh, bummer. See how good we are? You don't even notice when we make mistakes. Hey, thank you for being so gracious when we make mistakes and taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. Better yet, share your ideas for things we can talk about. If you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a review. If you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. Of course, you can call us at 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask a question, or replace a Ziploc baggie any time of the day or night. You can also email us at feedback@cashingnw.com. Join us live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2025 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The after show.
Brian Lang said, I heard my name. So apparently he wasn't paying attention to most of the show until we said his name.
It woke him up.
Okay.
He's got jet lag.
You know,
He's
it's
still in the
amazing.
Guilty
It's
time
amazing
zone.
how well you hear your name spoken in a room, right? I was in our office the other day and somehow they hired another Chris without letting me know. And they were talking to him like, what, whom? Oh, you're not talking to me. But you know, you say the name and you just go over there. Brian Lang isn't tired. He's not jet lagged. He's just tired from finding nearly 1,500 caches over 2,000 kilometers in 7 days. Well,
Okay.
you should find a cache for every kilometer.
Yeah, slacker.
No, I thought I had to sneeze. I think it's still coming. You keep talking.
Okay, keep talking. We can go to the FATAS. Kitty Quest says, quiet shout out to Fluffy Bunnies if you're listening this evening. It was nice to meet you. It's always nice to meet fellow listeners and viewers of the podcast. I always enjoy meeting y'all at events and such.
Fluffy Bunnies. Isn't that just a lovely name?
Yeah.
We have a fluffy bunny in our backyard that we see in the evenings. Wet Coaster ran into some viewers at Chagafef.
Chagafap and Mumvi.
Ran into GeoBirder and Keats 94.
Oh, I've heard of them. I've met them.
Okay. Chagafef.
We've talked about it before, and
know.
I'm drawing a blank, so it'll come up in the chat
It's
very
a couple-
soon.
Yeah, it's a couple of can't come up. It's a couple of town names. Caching Cans wants to know any Washingtonians heading over to Wits End area. That's the Tri-Cities for a cache machine next weekend.
Next weekend. So not this Saturday, but Saturday the 12th of July.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually, before I knew the cache machine was coming, I had plans to be out of town. So you're welcome to come cache my town, but I won't be here.
You know, I may do that. I may
Well,
drive over.
I could let your house sit for me.
Oh, there we go. Heather says KGW. Wow, I can see the letters and I still can't pronounce them right. Did a news segment about geocaching today. It'll be showing this weekend and is found on their website.
All right, kgw.com. It's a Portland TV station.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, let's see. What would she say? Kitty Quest. I didn't see who she's referring to, but when they saw me at the block party, they greeted me with a whispered name. Love it.
As they should.
Oh, here you go. Go ahead.
Golden Horseshoe Area Geocaches and Friends Annual Picnic.
But there was a PH in there. Unless they were spelling friends with a PH.
Perhaps it was misspelled. Yeah, because it was the CH that threw me off. Maybe it was the Chicago area. It was the Golden Horseshoe Area. Geocachers and People House area. I don't know.
I spelled it wrong. Sue me. No, Wet Coaster, that's perfectly fine. I'm not a great typist either, but maybe that's why it threw us off and we couldn't figure out what it was about. Okay.
I blame the Ziploc babies.
The Ziploc babies. What about the bison babies?
Sure.
Fluffy bunnies. Oh, Fluffy Bunnies greeted her with a whispered name.
Oh, and if you watch that KGW story, Habus is in the story
Oh,
with other Geo friends.
she's in it.
Yeah, PJ was interviewed because of the big event sponsored by Geo Oregon.
You know,
Which-
we should do a show. Oh wait, we did. You
Yeah,
know what?
and I got an announcement today that it's reached, what is it? Block party status?
Block party status. So
Yeah.
thus mega status. Yes. Yeah, I got that as well, and I meant to bring that up on the show. So thank you,
Yeah.
Heather, for bringing that up. So the Where It All Began event is now block party status. So got to get down there in September.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and as far as
West saw GSM times 2 at Cache the Bay.
okay, and as far as GagaFap goes,
Mhm.
because it's the last one that'll be held, so he doesn't have to spell it any longer.
Well, that makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to spell it. Oh, folks, I had fun tonight. Between talking about new types of summer promotions and unnecessarily censoring Land Monkey, it was a lot of fun.
It's always fun to censor Land Monkey.
Yeah, it is, especially unnecessarily. Folks, until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.